So welcome to another lockdown book flip through with two books that I picked up during the lockdown at the Munstermarkt at the bookseller that was open there at the time. Again, if you haven't seen these other videos, in the earlier one I discussed that there was exactly one bookstore that was open in Freiburg during the lockdown last spring, and because he was at the Munstermarkt and he had the license to operate, and it was a secondhand bookstore. And these are two books I picked up while I was there. We'll look through this one first. This is so Gothische Buchmalerei, so literally Gothic book painting, and this little series is Die Blauen Bücher, or the blue books. It has a very nice dust jacket on it. It has a nice blue cover on the inside, quite pretty actually, with the name of the series on the back, and this individual book title on the front. This is also impressed a little bit. It's quite nice. It's not a very big book. They're all a little bit small. And this was originally a publication from 1959. So early half of the century. Not super early, but still there. Again, it was not expensive. So this one is a collection of Gothic book painting. I own a couple of these. This one has a lot of different stuff in it. I really like it just, again, as a resource. Most of the images are black and white, but there's a few color plates in here. And we can really see the variety of Gothic book art. We'll just flip through it really quick. There's all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of details, which is really nice. A lot of really interesting, I mean, here we have, yes, the devil hanging out with a woman riding a mule. Very interesting. Oh no, it says it's an easel. I think maybe this is supposed to be a donkey. With the mane, it looks a little bit more like a mule, but maybe it's supposed to be a donkey. But yeah, so we can see just, I liked it because there was a lot of different material in it. It's not from one book. It gives an overview of different Gothic artists, and you can see just the various people who were working, and it's always good for inspiration. I often like to work in a style, especially for like the Night Desert, that's very inspired by Gothic art. So it's nice to have. People make fun of Gothic artists and their horses, but as we see through this book, there's like a huge range of ways to paint horses. You have this sort of like questionable looking donkey with a human face. And then if we flip back through here again, you have this horse who's fairly realistically painted. His body is a little bit strange. You can see the artist wasn't exactly sure how to put the hind legs in there. He's got very small ears, but yeah, you can see the artist is kind of like, how do I jam that hind in there with perspective? But you can see, you know, people definitely were observing horses, and then you see a book like this, or a page like this, where these horses are done very, very realistically. The proportions are all very correct. You can see the legs are well done, the heads are quite well done, and they're quite aggressive. They are attacking a man and trying to kill him. Here again, you can see medieval horses at work. So, you know, I think it really depended on the artist. There was a meme going around at the time of this that's sort of like medieval horses from the front look like big eggs. I'm sure you can find it. But yeah, this book is quite interesting. Again, we have a variety of horses in medieval times. Here we have some as well. They're looking a little more odd. You can see that the artist is definitely like, how do I paint the horse from the front? But there's quite nice dappling. It looks very pretty. And you can see this woman she looks like she's riding side saddle maybe? It's a little bit hard to tell, but it's possible she's riding side saddle. I'd have to check, but I think the side saddle was kind of invented later, so I think in reality she might actually be meant to be riding astride. It's really hard to tell in a picture like this. Anyway, this one we'll put to the side. This one I was really happy to get. I kind of wouldn't have bought this Gothic one if I hadn't bought this one. I bought them together. Deutsche Trachten. So if you don't know, Trachten is like the word for traditional German clothing. And in this case, again, we have this nice dust jacket with very pretty border. Always worth it to take off the dust jacket. And somebody had clipped out a magazine from somewhere, which I have in here. This one was a little bit more expensive. So I'm really inspired by German traditional costume. Of course, I have lived in now 2 places in Germany, so Bavaria and now down in the Black Forest in Freiburg, where people are really into Tracht and they still wear it, and especially in the Black Forest region, and then over the border in France and Alsace. These are areas where people still wear Tracht a lot on traditional days, or like in Bavaria, people still wear dirndl for not just festivals, but to church. It can be like formal wear, so like weddings, graduations, for, you know, you'll see it all the time. So you don't see it as much on older women though, which is one of the reasons why I was really interested in this book. It kind of tends to be like maybe a little bit more for younger people. It's still sort of like in trend, but you don't always see older women wearing it unless you go to like really specific local events and really specific local celebrations and festivities. I have seen parades in the border of Switzerland where people have come down from like their little villages and they're all dressed like this, and then you get more of a range of ages. But I was really into this book because it just shows so much, not just black and white, but also color plates of all the amazing hats and the collars and the stuff that people used to wear. Like this is a wedding crown, and you can see a lot of different stuff. And it's kind of like every individual region has its own tract. They have their own particular style of blouse and their particular headgear. And often it had to do with not just your age, but also if you were Catholic or Protestant. So there's a lot of meaning behind these costumes. And also it's nice to see some of the men's stuff that tends to get overlooked. So yeah, I think especially coming from Canada where we just don't have this, we all just kind of dress the same. And, you know, fancy clothes are very more modern. We don't have like an older style of costume usually, unless you're part of a really specific ethnic group. And you pull that out sometimes, but coming from a British German background in Western Canada, we didn't really do that. So this is the really iconic look for this region. In Freiburg, you see this all the time. And here in Villingen and Schwenningen, you see the Bullenhut all the time. And this is actually worn by, it says here, so Mädchen, really by young girls. It's not a look for adult women. It is a look for young girls who are unmarried. And you can buy, of course, stuff with the big pom-poms on it. You can get all sorts of things. It's very sort of in trend. I don't own anything with a Bullenhut, but I sometimes like to sketch them. So yeah, this is just a really cool book. There's just a huge variety, and I like to do illustrations sometimes with tract inspired clothing. I try to make up my own. I try not to just like blindly copy. So it's really nice to have a book like this with a lot of variety and a lot of different stuff, just all the amazing hats, all the different kinds of lace. I think it's cool to see like the fur coats. You don't see that as much, the fur hats. You don't see that as much anymore. It was really interesting, and it's a part of costume history it's kind of still there. It pops up every now and then, but you don't see people dressed like this every day. And to do this every day would be like these costumes are extremely expensive if you buy like a full dirndl set, which I do have a dirndl that I got on sale, but like if you get like the really old stuff, you know, you're looking at putting out a lot of money. So it is cool to have this on hand. And again, we have a shepherd. Yeah, it's just a really cool book to have, and I like being able to find these things. I think this was also a 1959 publication. I can quickly double check. Does it say in here? I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. Oh, it has a dedication in here too, which is really hard to see on the black paper. It looks like blue ballpoint pen on black paper, so of course it's really hard to read. But yeah, this was a really cool book to find. I'm really glad I picked it up. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space on my shelf, and I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too.